Be very long. Ready? Okay. Can I have a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved.
A second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion so carried. Do you want to do the pledge first?
Sure.
Yeah. Can everybody please stand for the pledge? I pledge
Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. So first, we're doing a public hearing on the public access, the access management plan, a plan that the Transportation Implementation Committee has been working on for a very, very, very long time, and hopefully we'll be passing it into law very soon. We can't actually pass it tonight because we have to wait for the County Planning Board to report back to us, and they have it on their agenda for June. But later on, we will do this, declare ourselves lead agency, so we will have to keep the public hearing open. So if you're not here tonight to talk about it, and you want to talk about it when we continue it, you can do that. But is there anybody here who would like to talk to the access management plan? No, but, okay. Alan, when you, also just make sure you use the microphone, because I understand if you don't talk directly into it, people can't watch it at home on TV.
Well, I just happen to be here.
Is it on, is it,
Can you pick that up? You're not.
Chris, is it
No, we-
one second, because I know that,
I see the rock singers.
it's still not,
Right on top of it.
Sorry.
Not exactly
You
double duty today.
he does it every,
do you want to just come up here, Alan, and use my mic? Do you, if you don't mind?
Better for now, or?
Yeah, why don't you
well,
give
why
it-
don't you just go, why don't you just take,
There you go.
take it, he can take it out of, okay. Since you're here, great, it would be wonderful.
Okay, I until recently was a member of the Transportation Implementation Committee, and also during the transportation study that New York State conducted. And this access management plan has been high priority for going on 10 years. And I just want to speak in favor of it. If people aren't aware, one of the things that I think is important that it does is, for instance, if you've got two commercial businesses next to each other, it's going to ask that they create a way you can drive from one to the other without going out of the highway. And a big complaint people had is the congestion of Main Street. So, if someone could get from store to store without having to go out to the road, on Main Street, back in, this is the kind of access type of thing that they're talking about. There are certainly other things in the law, but I think apparently it's not terribly controversial based on the people here. But since I was involved with it over the years, I just want to speak in favor and encourage the board to pass this when the time comes.
Great, thank you so much, Alan.
Thank you, Alan.
And we'll have you back up in 30 seconds. Would anybody else like to speak to us, access management?
I'd like to make a motion that we keep the public hearing open for access management.
Yeah, why don't we schedule a continuation for the 4th Thursday? This way it'll give time for the county planning board to get back to us. So what,
June?
yeah.
Just a logistical question, what is the rationale to keeping the public hearing open?
We can't close it because we haven't gotten a response back from the county planning board. So
We need to
until
get
we get that
we need-
response
okay,
back,
sure.
we can't take action. And if there's anything that the county planning board wants us to deal with, and if we have to make any changes, so I was advised by the lawyers to just keep it open.
Sounds good.
So that's why.
Okay.
So that would be June, do I have that right, Roseanne, June 19th?
June 26th is the fourth.
Yeah,
June
I figured
26th, I-
June 26th, so this way, where's James' chair?
I think I still think it's true.
No,
Want me to switch
everybody
chairs then?
move down.
Everyone take a chair. There we go.
Okay, so, got a problem,
Didn't
so,
mean to make such an entrance.
beautiful dress. Okay, so, do I have a motion to continue the public hearing on June 24th at 7:15? June 26th at 7:15.
So moved.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion so carried. Okay, now I'd like to have a motion to open the meeting for the town board tonight.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion so carried. Okay, in regards to the agenda, the only thing that has to be added is under the prepays, of $750 for the contract for the fairgrounds that we approved last meeting. We approved the fairgrounds contract for the fireworks for July 4th, which will be on, I think, July 6th. So we have to just add that. Then I'd like to take the computer server payment account and the discussion about the seized asset and put it on for next week when Kevin's here.
Sure.
So I'd like to just table that to next week. And other than that, I think, can I have a motion to accept the,
Did we want to add the SOS for kids, or do you
Oh, sure, if you wanna
or do
do
you want to
that.
do that next week?
we could do that next week if you want when Kevin's here.
We can
Up
do
to
that next
you.
week. No, you
Okay.
can.
Yeah, we'll
Okay.
be next, Kevin's not here.
Okay, so, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion so carried. So now it is time for public input. If anybody wants to speak, what we're gonna ask you to do is come over here and take the microphone and sit in that chair and use the microphone. You're welcome. So, go ahead.
Yeah,
Yeah.
all right. A couple of things. One is, I brought this up once before about a stop sign coming off 32 onto Du Bois, going up that hill.
Well, they did put that for a couple of days,
Yeah, I know.
the thing. I mean, we can get them to bring it back, but you're talking about an actual
Within that
stop
couple of
sign.
days, somebody could get killed, because I almost got run over twice there, walking my dog across. And there's gonna be a lot of people going over to Moriello Pool from there, so, and they come flying up there. I've done it myself, so, you lose, become one-pointed up from coming around that corner, 32, onto Du Bois. You wanna get to that stop sign, but you don't look what's going on both sides, It's one of those weird kind of streets.
They're adding a crosswalk over there, and I know that the Bicycle and Pedestrian Committee has also talked about that issue as well, and it's a recommendation that we were hoping to make to Chris as well about doing.
I don't think a crosswalk's gonna be enough, because unless somebody's standing in the middle of the road, they might slow down and they might stop. But I think, you know how it happens, if you wait till somebody gets killed and then they make a big move to put a stop sign. I don't know how much that costs to put a stop sign on there. Going up the first hill from 32. There's stop signs all right up to past Prospect Street every 500 feet. So why don't they have it where people are speeding,
Yeah, it did come up at our last meeting, and I'm sorry, I know we don't usually do a dialogue during public comment, but I just wanted you to know that this is something that we're aware of, and it literally was the last meeting we had, this was a long.
I just want to get it through, because,
Sorry.
That's okay.
Breaking all the rules, Dave.
The other one.
Okay.
Okay, I have two other small
Sure.
items. They're still using a lot of chemicals on lawns and some of the housing projects around, a lot of chemicals on the grass to kill the weeds or whatever, which doesn't really help the lawns anyway, but you can smell it in the air. It's toxic for living creatures that land on it. It's toxic for people to breathe, and nobody stops them. They just keep doing it, Okay, I'll drop that one, next one. Okay, speeding trucks on 32, big trucks. There's no way that they could stop when they have to stop coming into town. I've seen them do like 40, 50 miles an hour, big, heavy trucks. That's it.
Thanks, Howard.
Hopefully something will come out of what I just said.
Okay, thanks. Who would like to speak next? Ira? You want me to bring the microphone?
Yeah, just takes me
That's
a couple of
okay.
seconds to do it. Hello. No, you live in the rich section, so you're not my neighbor.
I know segregation where you do.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
It's segregated by a chain and everything.
Anyway, we're...
Anyway, you brought it up. All right. Thank you. When the college decided to, in my opinion, further harm the taxpayers of the town by bullying, harassing those telling the truth about Park Point, crying and complaining to their partners in crime, the state, that they were being picked on, I decided to review the subsidies they receive from the town taxpayers through the A Fund, which subsidizes the village, and through them, the college, as well as all the other non-taxpayers and the college students. The most blatant, in my opinion, is the loop bus. When Tony Hokanson and her board decided to subsidize this enterprise so students could ride for free, I said that I did not think that was fair to the New Paltz taxpayers. I was told by Tony that they were not riding for free, but were paying a stipend to ride for free. My reply was that regardless of political speak, what they were really doing was paying for X number of rides, after which X plus one, they would ride for free and the taxpayers were paying the difference. Or you could look at it another way, that the college was paying maybe 5 to 10 cents a ride as opposed to the fees that the taxpayers were paying. And taxpayers then were again subsidizing the difference in the cost. Of course, this didn't fit into whatever agenda Tony and her board had, and I will qualify that by saying I don't know if all the board had an agenda or they were just listening to Tony's political speak and didn't think it was something that they should check onto. They just went ahead with it and said, okay, let's do it. So it was ignored, so be it. In reviewing the loop bus as part of my research, I noticed that it does not service the town residents. According to their route schedule, they just service the college and the village. Now, one of the biggest non-taxpayers, Woodland Park, wants the bus to service their community, which will therefore increase the town subsidy. This charge for the loop bus, in my opinion, should not be in the A fund, as it is not a shared service. It's a service exclusive to the village, the college, and the students. It should not be part of any town budget. Let the college and the village, if they want the service, pay for it. As I do more research, thanks to the college, I will probably have more items to bring to the board to consider these subsidies. Thank you for your attention.
Thanks, Norman.
Thank you. Would anybody else like to speak? Bill?
Yeah, I got interested in the recycling center recently. I had some problems, and I started looking into some of the rules that New Paltz citizens have gotten. People who have permits for the recycling center, and I see electronics and fluorescent bulbs were not accepted anymore. And I was wondering if people were informed about these changes adequately. I certainly never heard them until I saw this. And where are the people supposed to, what are they supposed to do with the fluorescent lights and television sets? I mean, are people gonna throw them in the woods? Or?
I answered you that. I know we normally don't get in conversation, but I did answer you that several days ago. I answered you that, and you thanked me for answering your question.
What'd you say, Kingston?
No, I actually answered the whole, and you even thanked me for the answer. You could bring it up to Kingston, or you can bring it back to any electronics retailers. You could bring it to a Best Buy, you could bring it to a Circuit City. I'm probably naming electronic retailers that are out of business, but regardless, any electronics retailer, Sears, JCPenney, Walmart, Kmart, I don't have a list of all of them, but I gave you the full list and you thanked me for that, and that was from a law, top of my head, I believe from 1999, 2001, something like that. So that's been a law for quite a while. And the problem with electronics is electronics are, the problem with electronics, and we actually had this discussion as the board quite a while ago, is it became a money-losing proposition. So we had to stop taking them because it was costing our taxpayers more to dispose of them and take them in. So that was the big problem, and the county actually had the same problem too. And in fact, Gardner just had to dispose of a tremendous pile of them at a cost to its citizens. It actually cost them more money to dispose of them than they brought in taking the electronics. So this is a problem all across the country, taking electronics. So there are many ways to get rid of them, and it would be returning them to. By law, anyone that sells electronics has to take them back,
Even if they don't sell them?
even if they don't sell that brand. Now, Radio Shack is not in there because they do not sell apparently a broad enough spectrum of electronics, and that could be one of the reasons why they don't sell that wide of a brand. I honestly don't know. It's probably in the details of the law, but I did send you the list, and I sent you, I know Best Buy was in there, and a few other handful of others, along with bringing them up to Kingston. You can bring them up to Kingston and dispose of them up there also.
Why don't you finish up?
I remember you quoting me the law. I don't remember giving the list. I'll check when I get home. What about fluorescent lights?
You can bring those to even Lowe's.
Same thing, you can bring them, anyone that sells fluorescent tubing, so you can bring those back to Lowe's, and Lowe's will take those, along with any batteries. Lowe's actually doesn't even require that they sell the battery. They will take back any batteries at all. And in fact, the disposal for that is actually when you first go in the door for Lowe's. They don't even need to enter their building. You could park right in front of the door and go right in, and they have a large box there. And there's no charge to dispose of batteries.
Yeah, there was a change in the free, what does it say, the one free load of debris up to 2 yards. And there's a ban on wood and construction material. Now, I had a piece of wood, 4x8 sheet of plywood that was moldy, and I wanted to get rid of. Now, I saw this, and I was wondering, could I have cut that up and put it in a garbage bag and got a free dump for that? I mean, why?
No. Now you're
Why?
well, because now you're
Why
because
isn't-
now you're taking a piece. I mean, you could. I mean, but you're the one who has to go home and then sleep with your conscience, knowing that you purposely. It would be like saying, "Can I then take
I
used
sleep
motor
very well.
oil and put motor oil into multiple coffee cans and hide them in my trash and throw them in?" Can you do it? You could, but you would absolutely be harming our environment and not following the rules and regulations.
So you think
Well, it's-
plywood is more toxic than regular household garbage?
Yeah, do you know what they put plywood together with? Highly toxic glues, adhesives, scrap wood. Absolutely. So you do know.
I
So,
know.
yeah.
I ripped
Yeah.
up my floor after I put it
Yeah.
down.
There's a reason why they advise when cutting up plywood that you wear a N95 mask or a dust mask, because they put off very toxic chemicals. So absolutely. So yeah, I do say it is more toxic than household.
So where would what would I do with my plywood?
Well, that can be weighed through, the plywood can be weighed through on a Saturday. They allow you to take what's considered C&D, construction and demolition, and you take the C&D and you can weigh it through at the county site, which we are fortunate enough in New Paltz to be one of the sites for that. And that's that big building you go by on the right side when you're coming into our.
So that big ramp where I had the big trucks weighing
Yeah.
stuff,
Yeah.
I'd put my little piece of plywood on there?
Well, no, you put your whole vehicle on there with your plywood on it, and then you dump, and then they weigh your vehicle again. And then you would be charged by the weight, and that's run by the county.
So that's good to know.
Bill, I think it's a minimum of $20. So that piece of plywood is gonna cost you, what is it? $24 minimum.
$24 minimum.
So make sure you have a lot of them.
Or construction debris.
Well,
Drywall,
let
whatever it
Bill
is.
finish what he
Yeah.
wants to say.
Well, but apparently, and I also had a broken up small dresser, which was made out of particle board. I broke it up and I tied it in 3 piles and threw it out. Would that be considered toxic waste?
I believe that's considered standard waste, but I will look for nods from our waste. Can that be? Furniture. Furniture can be taken. We didn't make these lists up, by the way. These lists are made up, are done by,
Is there guidelines? Like I got the
Yep.
sheet. it doesn't go into much detail except saying what's banned. It doesn't say, you know, like anything about particle board or anything like that.
Well, I mean, if you think there are things that are lacking that we should be considering and we should be delineating it further, why don't you, write up some suggestions, give it to us, and we'll meet with our recycling coordinator, and
And
if we
what-
have to, we can always
Is there-
amend.
We don't have radioactive waste on here, I noticed, so I think we should probably should add that.
Is there, who made up these rules?
Well, they've been made up over the years. I mean, we've had different.
And they're not made up, no, these all
I don't
come.
Right,
think that's a
that's-
fair
I know,
assessment,
that's
the way
right.
that was phrased.
That- Yeah.
This is new, then.
No. We adopt it every year at our organizational meeting, but it's been developed over the years as the recycling center grows and things change too. Like Jeff is right about the fact that I know through the Supervisors Association, the supervisors meet every month, and the County Resource Recovery Agency people come, and one day a whole conversation was all just about how to get rid of TVs and electronics because all the recycling centers have stopped taking it. So they were talking with the Resource Recovery Agency whether they were gonna rent a pickup truck, and then they were gonna go from town to town to town and pick the stuff up and take it back up. If maybe certain towns could cluster and accept the stuff and then have some outside vendor come pick them up. So as the market goes up and down and things are sellable or not sellable, depends on what they take and don't take, because sometimes things are profitable and you can, get rid of things, and other times you end up getting stuck with things that have cost you. So things change all the
I was told
time.
a few years ago, I used the electronics dumping.
Yeah. Well, they used to
a lot.
take electronics a long time ago. Now there's,
I was told they made money on them.
they used to, but they don't now. And I can't explain the difference between the new TVs and the older TVs and what's happened and changed. But what I can tell you is I've sat through meetings where they've talked about where we used to make money collecting the TVs and then selling them. Now you can't even get rid of these old TVs because nobody will take them because of the toxicity of taking them apart and the things that they have to do. And so it's a serious problem about how to deal with this. And it's just not our problem.
I think a lot of people are not going to go through all this trouble to go to Kingston or go to Best Buy, and they'll just dump it in the woods.
Well, we try to do the best that we can under the circumstances.
And luckily, our recycling centers really flourished as well.
Right.
so.
And one last thing, there's a Facebook page called New Paltz Recycling, and I about 3 weeks ago I got my coupon, my one free 2-yard dump coupon, and I had some questions on it, and I wasn't getting any answers, so I scanned it and put it up on Facebook, and asked for on the New Paltz Recycling, which I'm a member of, and I got a note, I think, from Laura Pettit that to take it down because she was afraid that what'd she say? It was going to be copied, counterfeited.
Could be reproduced.
Please take down photos so it isn't replicated. Now, I was just wondering, maybe Laura will answer if she's ever had a problem with a coupon being replicated. I mean, is it a big business in counterfeiting a one-shot dump coupons?
Well, I don't know, Laura is here, but we do have things on the agenda, so at some point we could ask her to possibly come up, but we do have a guest here who's going to be presenting, so since this is public comment, we'll listen to what you have to say, and if we have a chance later, we'll talk to Laura.
Okay, well, since Laura's not speaking, I'll just say I'll make one complaint. I'm asthmatic, and you talked about plywood, and I'm very aware of plywood. I put down a plywood floor, which instead of solid wood, I put down solid wood. But I needed a thin wood, so I put the plywood down, and I had a reaction to it, and I had to rip the whole thing up.
That's nasty stuff, oh yeah. No, the glues in that are tough stuff.
So the reason I'm mentioning that is when I go into the recycling center office to buy my tickets, I'm noticing these cats all over the place. And right outside the door, there's all these empty cans of cat food. There's 4 or 5 or more cats there. And I don't think that's appropriate for an office there. I think it's a health hazard.
Okay. Okay, thanks. Thank you, Bill. Is there anybody else who would like to speak during public input? Ray?
Ray Lenati, Town of New Paltz. I'm here tonight for the New Paltz Baseball Association. I'm the director of fields, got a couple of their fancy titles. But at the fields, on the weekends and during the week, we have a lot of baseball games, from youth to parents, adults, older umpires, and fans. And I was wondering if the board can consider putting an AED unit at the Clearwater Field and at the Field of Dreams. I don't know how you'd secure it, but I know there's one in the town highway garage. If there was a way to put it in a box similar to that one on the highway building, if an AED was necessary to save a life, it would be there and ready to use. 911 is good, but there's a delay there. And I don't know about the Field of Dreams where you put one out there, but if there's a spot out there, mark it well. They're self-instructing once you start using them, so that's it. If you can consider one at each field, that would be helpful to the community.
Thank you, Ray.
Can I actually make
Sure.
a comment about that, because I was unaware of that? I know that school districts are legally mandated to have X number of them per student and all the rest within a building. Is there a mandate like that for our facilities?
Mhm.
'Cause
I just think it's a great idea.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. I just would have actually assumed that we would have had something like that around there.
The only concern I have is about maintaining it, keeping it, because the fields are left alone after hours, after dark. I don't know why, a life-saving device, but I imagine that there would be some vandalism and, perhaps theft, and that's, really heartbreaking to think that I have to sit here and think like that when it's really a great idea, and there should be one attached to some form of a fixed structure, at least for the summer, because if we had to move it in on the inside for the winter, for the weather conditions, that would be fine too. But I think it's a great suggestion.
Okay, well, we'll look into it, and we'll talk with our man about town who does everything and see what he thinks, and we'll go from there. Does anybody else have anything else they'd like to say during public input? Anybody? Okay, with that, then we're going to move on to the agenda, and we have...
Or public announcements, or...
Oh, I'm sorry, yes, the
Yep.
public announcements, so Jeff, why don't you do this one?
Oh, is there one there? And one also, Ira, when you're doing the bus, get hold of me, because there are some revenue lines in there too. The college does pay a very substantial amount on top of paying for all the fuel for it. So they do pay, it's a lot more than 50 cents a ride per student. But I'd love to sit.
No, I understand
Let's
that.
sit down with it. I want to sit down with you, because
Right.
I'm not saying you're wrong, and let's just sit down, because there's some revenue lines.
Yeah.
Absolutely, and I would love to do that with you. So
Sure.
get hold of me, and I'll gladly sit, and it will take more than one meeting.
Wednesday afternoon, Thursday, or Friday is usually when he's free and
Usually you will
around.
find me here.
He's usually here around Wednesday afternoon, Thursday, and Friday.
Oh, that's right, we just found,
Yes.
the BAR, the Board of Assessment Review, will be on the last Thursday of this month. So that means it will be on the 29th. So if you would like to discuss your assessment with the Board of Assessment Review, please call our assessor's office, and they keep a calendar. I apologize, I believe they're 15 or half-hour sessions. I apologize, but they book them so you're not booked with someone else. The other advantage also, if you call and make your appointment sooner than later, many members of the bar, the Board of Assessment Review, actually go out and look at your property, and then will also go out and look at the comps. So when you are sitting there on the Thursday, they are talking with education as to what your property is and how the assessment was arraigned at. And even if you don't think it should be changed, you just have questions, please feel free to also call our assessor's office. and they'll be more than happy to discuss your assessment with you. And then if the assessor believes you should go to the assessment review, because that is the only way you can go to get it changed, you can go to them and they will change it. Sounds fair? The only other thing is, starting tomorrow is the great giveaway. Actually, we have Laura Pettit here. Do you want us, you may know more about it than I do.
You have to come to a
It would help,
microphone.
because you probably know more about it than I do.
And if you get a laptop, Laura, we need one for our senior coordinator.
Oh, at the giveaway. Yeah, we're keeping our fingers crossed that the weather will be nice. We heard it was going to rain. But we've been coordinating with the new recycling coordinator over at SUNY. And she said the boxes in the dorm common areas are getting really full already. So we're hoping to get some more volunteers out. We need volunteers at the United Methodist Church on Grove Street, 2 o'clock, to start setting up tables and getting the materials organized that we're bringing out. Or you can meet at the Student Union Building on campus. That's also at 2 o'clock.
2 o'clock, what day?
2 o'clock in the afternoon tomorrow, Friday. So, and we're gonna continue to bring materials. We're gonna go back Saturday, so.
It's move out weekend, right?
It is
It's
move out
graduation.
weekend,
Right.
yeah.
Yep.
I have 2 volunteers for you,
Oh, excellent, okay, for Friday or Saturday?
for Friday and possibly Saturday.
Okay.
Well, why
There'll
don't
be
you
2 of my
just-
children.
Why don't you just explain very quickly
What it is.
What it is.
What it is it's a project I was trying to find out from people who have been involved for a while. It's 6, 7, 8 years now. And the students that are not local, they're either Fordham students or they live out of state, it's cost prohibitive for them to send everything back home. So they leave it there. And they leave clothes and shoes and cleaning supplies and food, bedding. I mean, it's a whole plethora of materials that we're trying to keep out of the waste stream. This year in particular, Family of New Paltz gave us a substantial wish list. They'll take anything. Jim Tinger from the Youth Center is going to be coming out with the kids. They're interested, of course, in food. The Recycling Club from SUNY is also going to be providing pizza. So what we do is we go from dorm to dorm in the common areas where everything has been put together. You know, we don't go room to room, it's in their common area. And we load it up and take it out to the church. So, and it's there for the taking. So volunteers get first dibs. So if you want a couple of new outfits, come on out. And then if you don't have the time to volunteer, but you're in need of materials, you can go to the church and pick them up.
And everyone, just so everyone knows the items, because I actually have volunteered many, many years in this, and you'll have my truck tomorrow too.
Oh,
So
good.
yes, so
Thank
you'll
you.
have a truck. It's everything from food, which a lot of the food does go to family if it's enclosed.
Mm-hmm.
Small dorm-style refrigerators, toaster oven, actually, toaster ovens you don't see anymore,
Yeah.
do we? Since
Dishware
they've gotten much
pots.
better over there.
Yeah.
And microwaves,
Don't even let them in dorms?
no, they don't let them in dorms anymore. That was in the early years, we used to see those.
Mm-hmm.
You don't see those anymore, but the dorm-size refrigerators, we do see clothing, shoes,
And cleaning supplies,
everything.
leftover
Cleaning
laundry
supplies,
detergent, yeah.
full bathroom kits,
So we may also need people to take the materials from the church over to family. But last year and the year before, we had nothing left. So nothing got thrown away at all.
Which is great.
All right,
Thanks,
good, we'll see you
Laura.
tomorrow. Thank you.
Terrific, thank you. Any other announcements?
Yeah, just a brief one. Did you see that New Paltz was listed one of National Geographic's most exciting towns in the United States?
Seriously?
Yeah,
Can you imagine?
imagine.
I think even better, and I wrote their
Really?
names down. I wrote their names down though, and I think what makes it
They talk
exciting.
about the wonderful town board that the town has?
You know, that was not mentioned in it.
No.
But, we can call them up and see if we'll add it.
Okay.
But actually, and I don't know, I think they deserve to be, they've now made national news, and so it's not a secret, but a Reese Workhaven, a Callie Gusati, and a Laura Russo found $40,000 in a couch
Right.
from a couch dumped by a Hudson Valley resident that is going unnamed at the Salvation Army. And one was a college student, the other 2 are past college students here, all living together, and they returned the money to, it was a elderly resident who had been hiding money in the couch for many, many years, and returned it. So I think we hear bad stories about our students here, but to hear a good student. So I would like to thank the 3 students, and I think that it has now made national news. It was actually on on all three major networks, or
Uh-huh.
four major networks now.
That's a.
I'm only counting
That's a
three.
testament to their parents, not a testament to SUNY New Paltz.
Interesting that Gene Lucas should say that.
It's a testament to their parents.
It actually is because
They talked to their parents
they
before they
did
did
talk to their parents to help them make the decision. So Gene Belushi, I would like to say
Okay?
you're
'Cause
correct.
You know what? They probably said, hey, will I work again if I keep it?
Bill, do you want to say something quick?
Yeah, I think there should be some kind of recognition by the
Uh-huh.
town.
We'll come up with a town award.
Yeah.
I think so, yeah. I think
Yeah.
so these are residents that we have. This is why we are one of the most exciting towns, I believe. We are.
Just want to make
Well,
fun of the show.
I'd be pretty excited if I found $40,000 at the couch.
Okay, do we have any other announcements, town board, or can we get
No.
on to the meat of the?
We got to know.
Okay, okay, that's okay. It's 8:15. Alan, why don't you join us? The town has had an ethics law for a number of years, and it went through a review a few years back, and then when, well, I can't say this exact board, but when
I was here.
you were here and.
I was here.
Gene was
But-
here.
Well, no, when we came back, we took this back on again.
Dan's the only one.
Right, so, okay, so, so we took this back on. Alan came to us in 2.5 years ago. We reviewed things. We had some input that we wanted. He took it back to his committee. They did some reviews, and now we're here back with Alan so we can see, go over whatever changes and potentially adopt the ethics law, the revisions based on all the work that was done by Allen and Company. And I will say, just as a little point of information, when I came back as the supervisor this time around, the very first phone call I did get was from Alan Stout, and he said, would you meet with me? And we met at the bakery. I wasn't even inaugurated yet.
Right.
So Alan talked to me about the ethics law and how he really wanted to get this done. And so, here he
Okay,
is.
well, thank you
And
for
we
that
did meet, we did meet,
introduction.
and we did
Yes,
try, and we did,
Yes,
and now we
did.
are here a
We're-
couple of years later.
Moving
Yes.
on.
We had an ethics hearing in between.
There was a little interruption, yes. Before I get into the meat of the ethics law revision, I want to mention a couple other points. The town now requires that members of boards and commissions and public officers and elected officials submit a financial disclosure statement on an annual basis. There are still some members of boards and commissions 4.5 months later who have not submitted their forms, and I just wanted to bring this to the attention of the board and ask you to think about what you might consider doing to get this compliance. I checked with Rosanna's office today, and I did not ask for names, but the Clean Water and Open Space Commission still has one member who hasn't submitted, and the Board of Assessment Review, who Jeff mentioned a little while ago,
Might want to get that done.
5 of the 5 members have not submitted, and I don't know why that might be, if that board decided to make a boycott, or if it's just a coincidence. But none of the members of the Board of Assessment Review have submitted their financial disclosure statements for 2014.
I'm hoping it's just because they only get together for literally 2 weeks of the year and they don't need, but
That
we
could
will
be.
contact them.
They were
though.
distributed to them. Actually, the Ethics Board has not met yet this year either, but all of our members have submitted the forms.
Are those the only 2 committees so far?
Yes,
Everybody
everyone
has
else
to-
has submitted. So
Okay.
six people.
Which
I
is-
ran
which
this
is actually
by,
very good.
it is very good, but I should really
Right.
thank Rosanna and her
And-
diligence.
right.
She has been really on top of this, has sent multiple emails to people who have neglected to do this, and it's to her credit that we're down that low. She really has done a great job with that. She also wanted me to mention, which is really outside the realm of the Ethics Board, but members of boards, commissions, and committees are also required to take oath of office. There's one from the Board of Assessment Review, 4 from the Clean Water Open Space, and 1, sorry to say, from the Ethics Board.
who I contacted today and promises we'll do this ASAP. But Rosanna tells me she hears that frequently. The Ethics Board is of the opinion that these people should be informed and given 30 days' notice, and if they fail to comply, you should consider dismissing them from their office. However, that would leave you in the lurch with the Board of Assessment Review. You'd have to start from scratch. But that, you might want to look into that situation. I don't really know. I don't know the individuals involved. The only other thing before I get into the ethics law revision is to inform the board, I think some of you are already aware, that my term ends at December 31st of this year, and I do not plan to seek reappointment. So you might want to look to other members of the town who may be interested in taking on this job. The 4 other members are still going strong, and I hope one of them will step forward as chairman. But I think that would, it would be helpful for you to know that in advance. Yes.
What happens if we choose not to accept your resignation?
Well, see, the thing is, Susan, I'm not resigning. My term ends. And
actually, the sad part is we actually don't accept resignation. Rosanna does by law, and
Okay.
she
Well,
cannot.
I file them, but you have to accept
Yeah.
them.
Actually, a resignation is actually accepted by you, believe it or not.
I file.
Yeah, once they turn it in, it's over. That's in public, in any office or committee, public office, we don't have to accept it. You actually, once it's filed with you, it's done.
But technically, you don't file it when your term is
Yeah,
up.
she
You
filed-
file.
once it's
you-
filed.
Do they file a form once?
No, once their term is done, they
Yes.
serve at the pleasure
Right.
of them.
Or whenever they feel like
Right,
it's time.
right. Which is what I'm saying, we don't feel like it's time, so Alan's not going anywhere.
Okay.
Alan has been forthright
Yes, he
about
has been,
this.
for a long time.
Now,
Yes.
Thank you,
a
Alan.
while ago, I wanted
But Alan, let's make
people
your swan
prepared.
song finally accepting the updated code of ethics.
Well, it would be
State.
wonderful if it was passed before the end of the year.
We'll wait till December 31st to pass it.
Okay. You gave a pretty good introduction, but I have just
Yeah, please.
a brief intro on my end. And I'm going to read a very short letter from June of 2010. This was a report to the town board. And I wrote, in March of 2010, Jane Ann Williams communicated with the Ethics Board regarding a memo issued by the New York State Comptroller titled Improvements Needed in Municipal Ethics Laws. Ms. Williams requested that the Ethics Board review the memo and associated documents. Further, she asked that we compare the existing town law with suggestions made by the Comptroller's Office. The Ethics Board held 2 meetings in May 2010 for this purpose. We reviewed all of the documents, including a model code of ethics for local governments, as well as a list of specific recommendations. We then conducted a section-by-section comparison of the current town law with the model code. This was in June 2010 when I sent this out, along with accompanying documents. The progress from that point, nothing much was done. I brought it to the attention of the supervisor at that time, and I'm not faulting her for ignoring us completely, but there were always more important things on the agendas, and nothing was done with our suggestions. As Susan pointed out, when she was elected, I contacted her to see if she had more interest, and she did. We met and we moved forward. I met with the town board in the spring of 2012, and then after we made some revisions, I met with the town board again in the fall of 2012. The document that I sent to you all and is now posted on the town website is the result. There were some sections added most recently to clarify and outline how the ethics board and how the town board reacts and acts when we give an opinion. We are asked from time to time to look at a situation. We meet, we formulate an opinion, the town attorney reviews it, and then we turn it over to the town board. The recent revisions clarify then that procedure, and I think that was all well and good. We met, we had no problems with that. It didn't affect really the meat of the ethics law, just how those opinions are handled. The document you have has really just a few comments that I made that are really editorial, nothing of substance that would change the law as written. And as far as our board is concerned, the only thing needs to be done would be to let the town attorney review this for your accuracy, make those editorial changes. There's a little bit of wording that I found confusing about how you state in words that the members of the board, there are 5 members, and one of our terms expires at the end of each year, and we have 5 terms, and it's just a little awkward to write that down correctly. So that's where we're at, and I'm here to encourage you to schedule a public hearing as soon as possible, and also to answer any questions you may have. Dan?
So I just had 2 questions from looking this over.
Yes.
And by the way, thank you for taking the time to go through this again.
You're welcome.
One of them is that in section 17, under gifts, it says that no municipal officer or employee may accept or receive any gifts or multiple gifts from the same donor having an annual aggregated value of $75 or more. The figure $75, where does
Okay.
that come from?
Well, it actually came because it used to be 50.
Well, that's what I was wondering, because I think when I was on the school board, it was
Okay.
50, so I was wondering.
And this law, Susan, you may remember when it was originally written, in your first term.
Right.
I mean, it was just figuring there's been inflation.
No, 75 is the figure, the annual figure.
Even in the current law?
75 is the annual figure according to the state comptroller.
Oh,
and that's where
okay.
it
Oh,
came
is
from.
that where it came
All
from?
right, it just seems
Okay.
kind of high to me, that's just my
No,
personal
that's where
opinion.
it
I
came
was just
from,
curious.
and
Okay,
so.
I'm sorry, I didn't remember
You have
we-
another question.
So you're
I
saying
don't
that
wanna
you could be
interrupt.
bought for $75?
I just
Now,
thought that.
don't sell them?
I thought
You
that
said it was high.
$75 was a little high, and I kind of thought that the $50 mark made
Okay.
more sense, and I had seen it before, and I was just wondering if there was a rationale for why this was 75 compared to other governing bodies that were
Because chocolate got more expensive.
chocolate got more expensive.
No, it was,
I don't think I got 75
in,
cents in since I've been here.
I guess the revisions in January of 2013, when I looked
Okay.
at the model law, I saw that the state comptroller's guidelines had changed to 75.
Okay.
And I put that modification within that revised model I was doing.
Yes.
And
okay.
so it appears that the Ethics Commission just picked up the
Okay, you're
$75.
absolutely right, Gene. I have, not that I doubted you were correct, but I have the written model code here, and I can verify that it says $75. Doesn't mean the town can't change it, but for the most part,
But actually, that's true. We can make it smaller.
we, for the most part, found that the model code sent by the state was pretty reasonable, and in not every case, but in many, I could say most cases, we went with the model code. One big reason was because we found the language a little bit easier, a little bit more simplified, easier to understand. So in some cases, it didn't change the local law at all, it just made it clearer to people who are not attorneys.
Right,
Especially-
but also, do you recall that it came down from the state comptroller's office that New Paltz had an existing ethics law? We have a whole chapter. Some local communities do not. And so the state comptroller's office put out like a bulletin saying, you know what, we're making a recommendation that everybody get on board with an ethics law for.
And I
for
believe
boards.
they will want to review this either before or after it becomes law. I think they like to get a look at
the revision. Is that your understanding?
I think that they will add it. They had a number of communities that had adopted,
Okay.
that already had ethics laws. And so when I pulled out the model,
Yeah,
I think they would add us to that as a framework.
okay.
Because I think that, I'm speaking for myself, but my work with the Ethics Commission is that you guys did a very fine job of incorporating and maintaining the sections of the existing New Paltz ethics law that was not already in the model, but is very relevant to us in the, would you call us a groovy town? Would you call it?
Exciting.
We were at a
Exciting,
debate
okay. And so, this law encompasses, to me, as close to the comptroller's model and keeps the spirit of New Paltz Town Board in this, and keeps everybody on the up and up.
One thing, for instance, Daniel, the model code from the state has nothing about an ethics
This is the
board.
existing one. This is the
A municipality can have
This is old.
an ethics law without a board. So the entire section in our law pretty much came right over from the existing law about the terms and the responsibilities and et cetera of having an ethics board as well.
Just wanted-
So that carried right over.
Okay,
Okay.
and I'm just gonna say,
Okay.
I wouldn't be opposed to dropping that to a lower number, but that,
Mhm.
if I don't have support on that, that's fine, just wanna
Okay.
throw that out there. And the second question I had too is for section 15, part C, where it talks about elected officials holding office in political party entities. And my question for that is, because this is kind of an interesting area, because when you talk about holding an office, to be a Democratic committee member is technically an elected office, or are you referring to being, say, the chairman of a Democratic or Republican party?
I can answer that because we did that when we created the ethics law the first
Right.
time back in 1996. And it was specifically that we didn't want to preclude people serving on boards from being on a political committee. We just didn't want them to be the chair, the vice chair, the secretary, or the
Or the
treasurer.
treasurer.
So we basically said, because in the past we had chairmen of political parties holding offices on planning, town boards, zoning boards, whatever. And we just wanted to try to, you could be on a political party, we just didn't want you to be the chair of a political party or holding, being an officer. And we included that in 1996 when we drafted the ethics
Yes.
law. And so it was a decision of the board at that time.
Okay, I just wanted the clarification, just
Yeah,
the difference.
yeah, it was very clear when the board chose to do that. Because as a member of the board, you don't have that, as a member of a political party, on a political committee, you don't have as much power as the chairman.
Of course,
And
yeah,
so if
yeah.
you're sitting on a board that influences policy, sometimes that might be a little too political for a board. So we made that distinction.
Did any
Yeah.
others of you have?
I have on
comments? Yep.
page, all of your little editorial things, they were all really good.
Okay.
But on page 10 of 11, where you want to make it into 2 sentences,
Oh, okay, yeah,
um,
maybe that's not needed. I actually, when I reread it today, I wondered if that was necessary.
well, I don't know, I do find
Oh.
it to be a run-on sentence.
Oh, okay, all right, good, well,
So I thought maybe, but I don't know if we turned it into the 2 sentences, I would end it at "to any inquiry," period. Remove "provided,"
okay.
and then make it a new sentence. However, remove that, "the presence of" and "participation by." Does that change the flavor for you?
No, that sounds fine. Frankly, I didn't expect
to, again, deal with this.
Oh.
I want this to go straight to the
You
town
want
attorney.
to throw it at Joe? Okay.
No, I want to go to Mr. Moriello. We're through. This is now up to the attorney to make those corrections, as far as I'm
All right,
concerned.
so,
You
you're
wanna
not
do-
you're not looking at what I'm looking at?
I'm actually looking at something else because I'm just trying to read the language that we put in for when we talked about how when an ethics
Yes.
comes back to the
Right.
board, the
Yes.
board's responsibility in terms of how they handle it.
Right,
And I think that's on page 9.
okay.
I think is where it says the town board within 5 business days next following receipt of an advisory opinion, the ethics board shall convene a meeting to review such opinion and thereafter shall take such action as is appropriate under the circumstances. So in a way.
When I reread it today, it seemed like a pretty short interval to get you guys together, but that came directly from Joe. You know,
Right.
you guys met, you discussed, you know, how do we want to handle this?
Which one are you talking about?
We didn't have any input
Oh.
at all on that section.
Oh.
Well,
We just
the
said, all
question
right,
is- the question
if
is-
this is what you want to do, that's fine with
Oh, wait,
us.
what was your question again? I'm sorry.
If I remember correctly, when we were going through this sort of thing, it was really once, if an ethics opinion is asked for, and the ethics board renders an opinion, it comes to the town board, and then the town board decides what to do with that opinion. And they could choose not to release it, they could choose to release it. But, so, for example, when there was ethics charges brought against Kevin and myself and Maria Rice, in essence, okay, the ethics charges were made, in normal circumstances, it would go into executive session, then you would render your opinion, you'd give it to the board, and the board would choose what to do with that opinion. They could choose to release it, not release it, whatever, but nobody really ever knows where it goes, it's up to the board. When we did our ethics hearing, I refused to even show up if it wasn't done publicly on TV for everybody to just see what was going on, and the opinion was going to be made public regardless, kind of thing. So, you know, I think when we last convened on this issue, we're sort of talking about how does an opinion, once it comes to the board, get rendered, you know, once it gets filed with the clerk, does the person who got charged get to see the opinion?
Yes.
Does it get to be made public? How does it get handled? And that was what we were trying to deal with, and I don't know if this
Okay.
really,
I did have trouble with, because it says, what it says in here shall be subject to, and one of the suggestions is the responsibility of, but I might be thinking the way you are. Advisory opinions of the ethics board shall be, what about reported to and shall be made available by the town clerk? There would be no hidden agenda.
well, I think that's what, I think once it went to the clerk, I think it becomes public record.
So reported to,
So where it says that, okay,
instead of shall be subject to, advisory opinions of the ethics board shall be reported to and shall be made available by the town clerk.
which number are you looking at?
I'm looking at D.
Okay.
Oh, you're looking at the same thing, are you? You got your glasses on?
Yeah, I do.
Me too.
Okay, events pending in the court shall be subject to and shall be made available by the town clerk as town records accessor and to the subject of the inquiry and to the public in accordance with Article 6, Section, so I mean, in essence, it almost says that.
Right,
Okay.
but it was that word.
Yeah, yeah.
And, you know, when I was reading it the other night, I couldn't think of the word I wanted. I just thought of it now.
Okay,
And
so it's-
responsibility was comfortable, but then I was like, no, that's not really what.
So it's report instead of shall be subject.
Right, and
Okay.
again, I'll say, the ethics board honestly has
Can you just,
no particular input on those sections. We were okay with them. They were added by the town board, but there's no cause for us to meet and say, you know, these little changes you're making
No.
are okay. We're fine with it.
I thought, Alan, when you met, after the last time we talked about this, you met.
Yes.
I thought you did have Joe Murillo at the meeting with you?
I don't think it was at our most recent meeting.
Okay.
This came from him, though.
Okay, these
Yes.
changes came from him.
His word, yes, these are his words.
So
And we just
then-
plugged in. Yeah, we
So-
didn't compose, Part A may have already been in the existing law, but from B
B down, that's all new, and that came at the suggestion of the town board and was written up by Joe.
So then I guess what we should do, I did talk to Joe today to review a couple of things, but what we could do is refer this back to Joe for
Yes.
him to clean it up and
Yes.
put it in a form for us to basically be able to hold a public hearing on.
Yeah,
And I guess maybe
can I-
that would be the best way to move
Yes.
forward.
So moved.
Yes.
Okay, and.
That was a motion, right?
Okay, but,
That was a motion?
What,
Well, I'll second it for
Okay, but-
purposes of discussion. Go
okay,
ahead.
all right.
Thank you.
So, the other thing I wanted to add to that was
Right.
that one of the things that Alan was saying, and I know the ethics board is hands off, and Joe is really the one who can clarify, is section 18B, which is the terms of the members, which is where,
Yeah.
this is a very convoluted paragraph, it's on page
Yes, it
9.
is.
And if Joe could clarify, we had it for one other, we just did it recently
Yeah.
where
Roseanne, what was the other one we had
every
the same
year,
problem?
someone's term expires and someone else has to be
Remember, we just
appointed.
had this problem in other, remember that?
Was
I
it
want to say
CWAS?
it's CWAS.
I
It
think
might have
so.
been.
But I think what we can do, though, is it's a 5-member board, and so if we basically say that it's a 5-member board with
Well,
one
the
term
pro-
expiring every year.
What makes this such a bad paragraph is because of the creation. So we've already
We have
created
the
it.
board, right.
So, I mean, Gina, I was wondering, can that be cleaned up? That's what
Yeah,
makes
because
it into a
we don't need
mess.
the creation of a new board, because you're right.
The mess of it is the first couple sentences.
Okay, but
So-
here's the problem with, it's well,
He's just
no, I
saying-
guess you wouldn't be ever
Creating.
creating.
Well,
No,
actually,
because
you
we have-
could, no, well, actually, you could,
I
because
think
one of the
Joe
parts of the section
seemed to
is,
want to keep that for some reason.
well, you could, you may do want to keep it, because actually, we have the right, with
get
a
rid of
public
everybody.
hearing, we have a right to dissolve the
Existing.
complete
Oh,
ethics
board.
committee, so then you have to start
Okay,
from
but wait a
day
minute.
one again.
Okay, but no.
Not that I would
no,
ever do that
that's
or have any
different. No,
interest.
that would be the dissolution of the commission, and then
Well,
there
no,
would
it actually-
be no ethics. So this.
Actually, no, there's a clause in here where the town board can remove members at any, can remove them remove them with a public hearing. It's in here.
Okay, so the beginning of this sentence is based on the fact,
If,
depending upon who's elected. Is this where it's going?
I guess, I mean, that's what I'm asking you.
Well, then.
That's what makes the whole paragraph very
Couldn't we
cumbersome.
remove it so that there would be some continuity?
Well, then we need to remove another section too. Alan, do you remember what part that's in?
Which one is that, Joe?
The one where maybe we should remove the part that the town board can remove
Members?
members. I forgot, I know it's in here.
Yeah, I didn't
I
think you wanted to remove that. I mean.
Removal of members is
Yeah.
on page 9, number D. The town board shall have the power to remove, after public hearing, any member of the Board of Ethics for cause.
No, I think that that's fine, because
That's
if
fine.
you do have cause,
Yeah.
You want the
that's
right-
a justifiable
We're all okay
reason.
with that.
In your notice,
Right.
opposed to like, when we just went through this with the police commission, where at the will, we could have just dismissed them, but in this circumstance, we'd have to have a publicly noticed public hearing in order to do it.
Mhm.
Okay.
I think it's a good
But this
process.
says in the creation of a new Board of Ethics,
So probably getting rid of that would make that whole paragraph a little bit
or
better.
the reestablishment of terms of an existing board. And yet, if I understand correctly, the terms are one expires every
Yeah.
year. So there would always be 4
Yes.
active members. Is that,
Yes.
okay,
Well,
So if
we're
someone-
at a situation where there are only 2.
okay.
I mean.
But, that's probably a bad time for
But,
you.
I mean, I just thought, Joe's the attorney, he can rewrite that, but, I mean, everybody knows what we want. And it's
Well, I mean,
just,
what we have to, I mean, again,
okay,
it depends on who's here and who's not here, but I mean,
Okay.
Carol and Rosanna have worked for years, for the 3 years that we've been here, to get
Get it
the
together.
terms of
Yes,
every board,
yes.
their terms, who got appointed when they expire, and have been trying to stay on top of it. So now we do have, I think, a pretty comprehensive list of every department, when people are appointed, And so now when we replace people, we're very careful to make sure we replace them with a term of office. So we do have a system in place, but again, it's only as good as the people who are here implementing it. So, in a way, yes, you have 5 members, each member expires at the next year, and they can get reappointed, and now that we're keeping track of it, it's not a problem. I gather Joe can fix the language to reflect, just more clarity if that's what's needed. It's not, so if you want me, Jean, to ask him just for more clarity on.
Yeah.
So it's, here, I did it, here, you could take this
Okay.
one,
Okay,
because I made
Okay.
2 changes, and that's the particular paragraph that are,
okay.
but only a little.
I mean, I think the different, with the police commission, they served at our pleasure, but we still had to have a public hearing to, we had a public hearing,
Okay.
But, but that they served at our pleasure, and here, nobody serves at our pleasure, we just have the ability to remove, once they're appointed, they're appointed. We can't remove them at our pleasure,
Right.
but we can, if there's cause, and with a public hearing, then remove them.
Yes.
Which is the way it should be, because with an ethics
Yes.
board, you don't want, just because all of a sudden I leave and somebody else comes in, you have a new board, and they say, well, okay, we want to put our own ethics people on.
Right,
Right.
Well, then
that's
you're
what
actually
I know.
undermining the whole process of an ethics
Exactly.
board,
Yeah.
which is to try to keep them, away from politics.
Yes.
And that's the thing about having continuity of 4 members.
Right,
Right?
And another thing that I don't know if is unique, I don't know how the others operate, but this board appoints its own chairman. I think others of your boards and committees, that might be
They
empowered
pick
to the
their
board.
own.
In all the
Almost
other
all of
boards
them,
and
yeah.
commissions? Oh, okay,
Yeah.
good. Well, I think it should be that way. But
Yeah.
At one point, I
The
thought.
ZBA,
the,
actually, the ZBA, we choose the chairman of the ZBA, I believe.
Oh.
I think that's the only one that I'm aware of where we actually choose the chairman.
Okay.
Oh, and planning board.
Chairperson.
Planning board.
And planning board, I apologize, planning board and ZBA, because I think they're, because they're quasi judicial.
Do we pick one for the
Yes.
planning board? So, so does anybody have any specifics?
I'm
I will
ready.
say too, I will say also that, I sent this very early on to the Attorney General, when Attorney General
Oh,
Eric
okay.
Schneiderman
So
had
they've
gotten
had to look at
elected.
it. Okay.
He also was trying to get ethics laws into every single town.
Right.
And they had called me, and I said, we have an ethics law, we sent it to them, and they had complimented our ethics law and said it was one of the ones they were using as a model.
Oh, good.
So,
Okay.
yeah, they had very much,
Well, Jean was very helpful. She's been our town board liaison throughout the process. I want to thank you, Jean, for your contributions.
It's a pleasure working with you guys. It really is. So this piece of the ethics code, I'm ready to send to Joe. But there was another piece that I think was last fall. Was that when we had the last meeting?
Yes.
And I got stuck on 84.
Okay.
I
Yes,
I was in
yes.
dead traffic.
Yeah. I think you did
And,
finally get there, but yeah, you were stuck.
It was good. The purpose of that meeting was to review we had a proposed section of law from Joe Moriello on fundraising on town properties. And one of the questions was, we gave it to the Ethics Commission, and we asked, do you think it's viable that we add this to the ethics law? Okay, now I did miss the meeting because I was hung up the night before. But the rest of the commission met, and after reviewing the fundraising on town property versus the ethics commission, the ethics code, it was determined by them that the fundraising on town properties is a separate code section. So we should approach it that way. It's not to be integrated with that code. So I think that's the path we want to take. I support that.
okay. Then the other question I also remember coming up was undue influence in town hall on.
Was in that.
Was part of that,
Yes.
So would we handle that too as a separate,
In that one document, it would include both of those things because it was based on that. But this is just an opinion, and I'm not a lawyer, but it had more to do with behavior that you were exposed to as opposed to your own behavior. It was
Right.
like different.
Well, I know, I mean, what we're trying to do, so people understand, is protect the employees who work for town government from an undue influence during elections of people trying to get them to support them and using town hall and the building and people's positions in terms of that, and so we were,
First of all, I would love to do it quickly before any other elections occur. But, so the suggestion is that we make it the next chapter.
Now,
Okay.
last August, we did prepare
We
a
do-
model law.
Joe has it.
There's a
yes.
model law for political fundraising on property. And then as far as, and that's just fundraising, political fundraising on town property. And then there's another piece Joe told us about, though, that just even doing political functions on any government time is, unless it involves
I think
labor
it's-
organization,
Right, but I
is state
think it's
law.
all incorporated.
That's in state law, though. That, he didn't put that in fundraising, because fundraising, actually, believe it or not, is different than actually actively talking. So this would also stop someone from even
Well, then
putting
I
a
think-
jar out and say, vote for me, and then put a jar on the lunch table,
Right,
because it
but
wouldn't be
then
active.
on a local level, I thought that we were allowed to legislate smaller if we put it in our code book. So maybe we could ask Joe.
I have to go pull my, that
Could
was
we-
last summer we worked on that.
Could we make it smaller, tighter, because it'll be our local code only,
Don't have that.
not, you know.
well, so anyway, I mean, I guess without having to keep Alan here for so long.
Oh, sorry, Alan.
That's
If we were to
fine.
add another chapter to this code,
This
Yeah.
stands by itself.
Right.
And the other one stands by itself. There'd be two separate.
right, so
Okay.
if we should take on the next chapter, which, once we put this to bed, I definitely think we should, because, you know, there were things that we've seen happen. It's our responsibility to protect our employees from undue influence. Would we be working on that with the ethics board? And would you be
No.
willing to, no?
I just highlighted a section here that will demonstrate why we felt this way. It's, the essence of the ethics law states, no municipal officer or employee shall use his or her municipal position or official powers or duties to secure a financial or material benefit. That's what this is all about. A candidate seeking office doesn't come under this at all. They are not a municipal officer or employee. So you guys have to deal with that separate from the ethics law. There was a suggestion that a candidate was approaching a town highway crew on the road and talking to them, you know, about the politics of the fall election. That, on the face of it, seemed wrong to us, but we didn't feel that kind of activity falls under the town's ethics law. There were similar things perhaps in town hall. But I don't think the ethics board should become involved in those issues. We're dealing with municipal officers and employees who use their position for advantage. They're already part of the town, and that's what we're looking at here.
And what would even be the ramifications in that standpoint, because that candidate per se is not a town employee? So I mean,
Right.
what would even your
That's
authority
right.
then be to do?
That's exactly what we
Right.
Besides
thought.
issue
We didn't have
just-
any authority.
See, now
I think
that
the
is,
town
but-
board thing,
I thought
because
well, I
it
thought I
would-
still had it, Gina, we do, it's reporting requirements. It shall be the responsibility, this is from last year's law, proposed. Responsibility of any employee, appointed or elected official who observes any prohibited forms of fundraising to report such conduct to the municipal ethics board. That's from last year, so I guess we need to look at it, obviously.
Yeah,
I
Because
think
that
that
is-
it's a town board thing
Right,
because
right.
it involves the protection of the employees so they don't feel compromised you know, so they're not uncomfortable in their positions, because I hadn't heard what you just relayed to us. And if
Yes.
that really happened, I think that that's a pretty uncomfortable position to be in.
Well, sure.
Because if I was being solicited in my job by somebody other than the CEO, that's kind of, your loyalties, it's hard. And people shouldn't have to work like that.
Yes.
So I think because it's based on the employees that we're trying to protect.
Right.
That it's up to us to make that decision and review that law.
Yeah.
Okay.
So then
That's
what we
fine.
can do is put this on for us to move forward. What?
No,
To put this on to
Okay.
move forward, so we don't have to hold this up.
Yeah.
But we can put this on our agenda as another thing to follow up on, which is protection for employees.
The fundraising.
Well, do you want me to
it's more-
forward that out there?
Municipal
Yeah,
property.
but it's more than
Election-
fundraising.
I will
though.
forward that.
Electioneering,
That's-
electioneering and fundraising.
Well, what I'll do is I'll forward
That's
this
probably a
back.
word we don't
Yeah.
use around here, Alan.
No, but there is electioneering that goes on in
Right.
town hall, and it's just not appropriate for our employees to be put in a position. And, if there's a law that says you're not allowed to approach me while I'm in town, working on town business, or use my town email,
Yes.
then they have the ability to come report to us, and then we have the ability to try to do something.
We did strongly agree that
Right.
that should be prohibited.
Right,
Just didn't seem to fall under
Right.
our
okay.
purview.
Okay,
All
so,
right.
Rosanna, we have a continuation on the fourth Thursday for the for access. We probably could, because Joe already did this, so it probably won't take that long for him. So, we made a motion to, refer this to Joe, let him clean it up. All in favor of that?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, motions are carried.
So we'll make that
And then
one at
let's make a
7 o'clock.
motion, do you want to do the ethics the same
To
night
set a
earlier, or do you
public
want to do it
hearing?
at 7:15?
At 7 o'clock.
The week before?
I would love to set a public hearing.
Do you want to do it at?
Do you want to do it the week before at our workshop meeting, or do you want to do it that same night and just do it 15 minutes early?
You want to do one at 7, one at
We're
7:15?
talking about June. Let's go later in the month.
So we can do it the fourth Thursday, but we'd have to do it at 7 o'clock.
Okay.
Is that okay? And everybody remember, we have a public hearing at 7 o'clock, the fourth Thursday, we'll remind everybody. Can you be
I
here?
may not be here. I'm gone from the 18th to the 28th,
What's the third Thursday?
right in the middle of my Oregon trip.
19th.
Sorry.
That's okay.
When you leaving the 18th, you said?
Yeah, on a
Okay.
Friday.
This will just be the start of the public hearing, though, so.
Okay. Well, do you want to?
That was June?
Yeah.
When's the night? I thought I was leaving on the 18th, which I thought was a Friday.
The 18th
It's a
of
Wednesday. The 18th is a Wednesday.
Wednesday.
So maybe you're not leaving till the 21st?
Okay, I'm thinking July.
Okay,
I'm
okay, so
okay in
you'll-
June.
Okay,
Good. Oh, no, we're gonna get these done before July, yeah.
So,
John.
so June,
Okay.
so
Thank you.
June 20, what date, what's the
June
date?
19th?
26th.
Okay, June 26th, I'd like a motion to set a public hearing on the ethics law for June 26th at 7 o'clock.
So moved.
Do I have a
Second.
second? All in favor? Motion so carried.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Alan.
Double check and confirm it. I don't think I have a problem with that date. I'll let
Okay.
you know if I do.
Just let us know.
Thank you all. Okay.
Thanks.
Okay. So we'll get this done. Okay, doke. Okay, what's next on our agenda? Access management. All we have to do tonight for access management is declare ourselves lead agency. So would you like to,
So we have to,
just read
all
through
right,
it through
I would
here?
like to move a resolution. I'm offering up this
Thank you, Alan.
resolution. Whereas the proposed amendment to the code of the town of New Paltz must be reviewed to determine any potential impact on the surrounding environment as defined by the Environmental Conservation Law in Section 8-0105, Section 6, and whereas any project having a potential impact on the environment must have such impact determined by a lead agency pursuant to the State Act and Town Code. And whereas pursuant to State Act and Town Code, a lead agency must designate, to review the proposed project. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board of the town of New Paltz designates the town board as the lead agency to determine all environmental matters and directs the town board follow the secret process for the aforementioned action within its jurisdiction. This is to designate the town board lead agency to review environmental impacts of the proposed changes to the code of the town of New Paltz regarding site plan access management. That's that's adopt the resolution.
Are you making the motion, Jean?
I'm moving it.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion so carried.
Does Roseanne have one?
You have it, Rosanna, right?
And here's
Okay. Okay, doke. Next on the agenda is, we can get through some of this stuff pretty quickly. We have the New Paltz Chamber of Commerce 5K event. It does need police protection. It's on the rail trail. And all we need to do is approve it. It is on June 15th, 2014. And it goes on the rail trail. Does not.
I would like to move the New Paltz Chamber of Commerce 5K event.
So, second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion so carried. Okay, the next thing we have is a Cornerstone police contract.
Yeah.
We did the Cornerstone for all of our phones here. We've saved money, and so now we're extending it to the police.
Ah,
So it's, here, you want to look at it?
I did, and I was confused as to why we were just doing the police, but they were left out
I can't,
when we originally did it.
I think when we originally did it, Gene, we were in the midst of moving. When we did it, he changed it over.
Oh.
And I believe we were... Ira, does that ring a bell to you? With changing the phone system, when we changed over to Cornerstone, do I vaguely remember, I think the police were moving, or we knew we were gonna be moving. Does that ring a bell?
I think you're right.
Yeah, I think we were in the midst of moving, and it made no sense,
I
yeah.
never had a problem with
Yeah.
Cornerstone.
okay, so can,
So, I make a motion authorizing the supervisor to sign the contract for Cornerstone Police phone contract.
Second?
all in favor?
Aye.
Motion so carried. Okay, next on the agenda, the fire protection contract. Jeff, I think it's the contract that you guys went through, and you looked through it, you reviewed it, and I checked the money, and it is, if you remember correctly, we ended up having a deficit in our, from the money that they raised in the past for the fire department, and we were lacking in fund balance, so we put some more money in. So this is below the money we raised, which then offsets the money owed to the fund balance. So everything looked copacetic, and I just wanted to make sure Jeff had looked at it to see it was a contract that you worked on. So with that.
This is the same one that was attached to the vouchers, and Kevin looked at it also.
Okay, and this is stuff that you guys renegotiated and whatever, so
I'll move the adoption of the fire contract with Village of New
Second.
Paltz.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion so carried. Next, the senior contract. We approved the senior coordinator, and it was dependent on a contract. We worked with the contract with our labor attorney to make sure that it, so it was for somebody we were hiring for services, a fee for service. So we have the contract. I have to say that Kathy Puglisi, since the day she's been hired, and she's yet to get paid because we have to approve this contract tonight, but the day she's been hired, she's been here all the time. She's been meeting with people throughout the entire community. I was telling Jeff that today, Lauren and Gina from the rescue squad came to meet with her. And the meeting was about the fact that when Lauren and Gina and the rescue squad members go out to service people, there's a lot of seniors who might not necessarily need 911, but they don't really have anybody, and they're somewhat desperate, and they don't know where to go or what to do. And so they reached out to Kathy to sort of say, how can we work together to coordinate, so when we go out and find seniors that are in need, we know how to get them the services they want. And it was an amazing meeting. You know, it was just 3 people really concerned about the seniors of our community, figuring out how do we sort of create that safety net so nobody falls through. There's going to be a meeting next Friday with some people who want to offer services to the seniors in terms of music and dance and different kinds of programs, other people who are looking at other types of services that are needed. Kathy's been meeting with churches to find out what they do. We went to the senior luncheon last week, and I introduced her, and she stayed and had lunch. She's been doing an amazing job. It is one of the best moves we could have ever made for the seniors of our community, and she's getting calls all the time. She got a call one day because the food pantry was closed. The family of Newport's food pantry was closed for a short time for some reason, and they would normally bring food to her. She didn't even have a cup of coffee in her house. And Kathy made sure she got food delivered to her and stuff. So it's just been an amazing. She's here all the time. It's been phenomenal. So what I would like to do is actually move her contract to sign for Kathy to concretize our agreement.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion so carried. And thank you, Kathy. You're doing an amazing job. Okay, Repair Cafe. So, as we all know, in the New Post Times, if you read it, it was front page story about the Repair Cafe. And,
You need to sign this now and give it to Rose.
okay, yeah.
Look at that.
Okay.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, I'll tell you what we're talking about. What we're talking about is Repair Cafe. And so we had gotten a letter from Miriam Strauss, who's involved with Repair Cafe, and this will be their first anniversary. And she said, please consider memorializing the Repair Cafe's anniversary by attending the ceremony at the cafe on May 17th at 1 o'clock at the Methodist Church basement. It would also be great if you could celebrate the cafe's first anniversary with a letter or resolution of recognition of Repair Cafe New Paltz. Repair cafes are sprouting up in Ulster and Dutchess County. Rosendale held its first a few weeks ago. I'm a big fan of the RC's founder, John Wackman, who brought the idea to the Hudson Valley. He came to the area only a couple of years ago, but has already had a great impact on our community. And there's also a Facebook site, www.facebook.com/Repair Cafe New Paltz. It's wheelchair accessible. The cafe will coincide with New Paltz' great community giveaway upstairs at the Methodist Church lawn. So actually, you could go get all the stuff for free while you go downstairs and fix your greatest treasure for free. The cafe will also feature something new, a take-apart table where kids under adult supervision will disassemble busted stuff to see what's inside. And they don't expect the kids to have to put it together again. They could just break it up. But actually, this is between the Repair Cafe and between what Laura's doing with the great giveaway. It's all part of our zero waste initiative to keep things out of the waste stream. And it's just building and building to amazing, everybody's doing an amazing job. So I drafted a resolution on common request of the Repair Cafe volunteers. Resolution supporting year anniversary of Repair Cafe. And actually, I have copies for everybody. Okay. Whereas the concept of Repair Cafe started in Amsterdam in 2009, and whereas the concept behind the Repair Cafe is for you to learn how to fix those items you want to keep, and whereas repairing our broken items keeps waste out of the landfill, helping New Paltz to achieve its zero waste goal, and whereas this May will be the first anniversary of Repair Cafe in New Paltz, now therefore be it resolved, the Town Board of New Paltz congratulates and supports the work done by John Wackman and all the volunteers on this great project. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
That's great.
Aye.
Motion so carried.
Thanks. Thanks for doing the resolution so quick. So,
What?
I can certainly do that, absolutely.
Okay. And I can give you a copy of one too.
Thank
Okay?
you. Very
Okay, Dave,
interesting.
so
Very.
anybody who has anything that needs to be fixed, Repair Cafe this Saturday, first anniversary, go celebrate. And then go up and avail yourself of the great stuff the students leave behind. Okay, so next we have, we were asked, I don't think we have to take action, Jeff and I had a conversation with Joe Moriello today, but when we started with the Waldberry Lodge project and we had to create some new zoning overlay, we created immediately an escrow account for the planning process. Money was put into that account, and but the town board also has a lot of work to do in creating a zoning overlay district, which then incorporates the town attorney building some time. So Stacy, our building inspector, wanted us to have two separate escrow accounts, one for planning board and one for the zoning, because she was afraid that there wouldn't be enough money to cover both. So she wanted two separate accounts. So Jeff and I called Joe today to talk about it, and the attorney for Wildberry Lodge, Joe and George, our attorneys, somewhat believe that it could be one account. We just have to make sure we have enough money for it. Personally, for me, because I approve everything and all the bills, there's a lot of times where I'm sort of looking at the bills for Joe or for George or for Dave and trying to figure, is it B fund, is it A fund, is it, whatever. if it's just one account, that we just have enough money, it's fine. We've got that escrow program that we bought now in Edmonds. So Jeff, myself, and Joe didn't think we needed to set up a new escrow account for the zoning in of itself. I think Stacy still sort of preferred us to do it, but it was on the agenda. I didn't take it off because I figured we'll just talk about it. We'll get your opinion, Jean, on what you would like to see done, because you might have an opinion.
I'm not following you.
Okay. We established an escrow account as soon as Waldberry Lodge did their presentation, so they could start reviewing the project. And an escrow account was set up, but it was set up technically, in Stacy's mind, she thinks it was done for the planning work that they're doing on Seeker
Okay.
right now.
All right.
However, we have simultaneously, parallel, we're also working on zoning changes to do a recreational overlay. So the recreational overlay zoning change is in the town board's purview. The secret thing is in the planning board's purview, but it's all coming out of an escrow account. So Stacy had asked us to set up 2 separate escrow accounts. Joe didn't think, and George didn't think, and Jennifer, their attorney, didn't think that we needed separate accounts. We just need to make sure we have enough money in the one account to cover all the work that's being done. So we can create 2 separate escrow accounts, keep everything separate, or we can do the one escrow account and just make sure we have enough money to cover the work the town board's doing and enough money for the work that the planning board's doing.
And
Here she goes. Let's find out.
what is the driver that determines the amount of the escrow deposit?
That's an
Is it
excellent question.
Based on the size of the project?
This is
it
a-
written
no.
into the law? Is it
Nope.
something that somebody makes up?
Nope,
Please
these are
inform.
actually excellent questions that I
That we all
raised.
know yesterday.
Exactly, the exact question I asked, and particularly a project of this size is probably the largest largest project to come to New Paltz that will definitely serve all of our community. There's been large projects, so there is no, so to speak, system, unfortunately. So when talking to Joe today, we do need to come up with a system. And it should be treated as, and my idea was kind of to treat it, and Joe thought it was viable to do, is get a balance based on about what the cost of the project is, because then you can figure out about what your legal cost will be, your engineering cost will be, and then encumber funds each month against it. So when it gets down to a balance, also we need to establish a balance point. So let's just say they put $10,000 in. We don't have a system right now that says if it gets down to $2,000 to call them automatically and say it's low.
Right, but really, a project of this size, $10,000 is nothing.
$10,000 will
You were
probably
just
get
being
us.
hypothetical, right?
Being hypothetical, but you raise a good point, because I did ask for some ballpark figures. So my figure kind of always holds true for us to modify the law, which is virtually the same as writing a new law, because this is actually a pretty complex modification in an overlay district. It's going to cost about $5,000. So you're absolutely right, 10,000 would not be much. So right away, we know we're going to incur about 5,000 just in the work alone that our engineer and attorney have done. They're a couple $1,000s in. So you're absolutely right. We probably should look at the size of the project and come up with a dollar figure based on that. And there are some numbers out there. Joe didn't have them at hand, but he says if we speak to George, he could probably assist us in a reasonable amount.
Well, also, tomorrow, Joe, George, and Jennifer, the attorney for Waldberry, are going to have a conversation on the phone talking about things. So what Jeff and I had said is, why don't you guys try to get a handle from George, yourself, and Jennifer, you know, sort of an estimate of what we think the cost is going to be to sort of move this forward, and then come to an agreement of what you think we should be putting in right now, so this way there's no problem with the applicant, in a sense, and then come back and give us a recommendation, and then we can probably establish the thresholds next week.
But I think Gene's got a very viable point, and it's the one I was kind of asking around today. And this is where we got in trouble before, Gene, which is
Right.
we were holding invoices, waiting for money And in
Well,
fact, right
and-
now, we're sitting on not approving a project that would like to, is to change their road to a very long driveway because they still owe us money because there was not enough money in the escrow account. So this has actually already occurred on a smaller subdivision that was done.
Well,
So I
Well,
think.
it actually occurred before I came into office.
Oh, no, this dates, this dates back
Oh, no,
to.
no, I was gonna say that when I
Yeah, that
first came
dates.
into office, after Walmart, there was $50,000 owed by the applicant to the town. There was $50,000 worth owed because they let the escrow account diminish and kept incurring expenses and paying the expenses. So when the project got denied, what ended up happening is even though it was a very solid secret document and the applicant knew that if they sued the town, they would never win, because they owed the town $50,000, they sued the town just to get us to settle, so they didn't have to pay the 50 grand. And in a meeting with the attorney, we hired George Rodenhausen, and as much as we didn't want to settle with them, George said it was going to cost us over $100,000 to defend the lawsuit, so on behalf of the taxpayers, we basically settled it. And so that's why we're so serious about keeping on top of escrow, and we spent the money to buy that system that we now have in the admin system that actually monitors it. And I think at a certain point, we have it where if money gets down to a certain level, they're not allowed to review and incur any costs until it gets replenished before they are allowed to let the lawyer or the engineer do any work. So
But
we're not-
Gene, to your point, and that was the question I had today, which is, for example, we will not get May's billings. Now, May is going to be a very heavily billed month because we have our attorney.
A lot of activity.
And our engineer feverishly working, and we will not get those bills until June 5th.
All right,
So,
but-
without knowing the balance of the escrow account, because there was no one available to tell it to me today, I think I will, what would your suggestion be to?
Who's being affected by the recreation overlay district other than this one project?
That was the question I had also, and it would be just this one
Or
project.
that I have a problem creating an escrow district and making them pay for it? Because it's, to me,
No, actually, their attorney and our attorney have spoken on that exact subject, and they agree that they should be paying the cost of this overlay district, because they would be the only property affected in that area with this overlay district. We would have to then create an overlay district in another part of our community if someone popped up and said, I want to put a recreational destination hotel in, I'll make up an area, I don't know, on Upper Main Street. It would be a different B1 zone, it wouldn't be the same
South
zone.
Putt.
Yeah.
South Putt, it would be a different zone, different zoning. So if we went on South Putt, this law would not work, would not be viable.
one side of the thruway
Different zoning.
would be outside of,
There's, the zoning's different on the two. Joe and their attorney both agree this is zoning that is being used for this area, that zoned area. I had the same exact question too, if we should be paying for it or whether the applicant could. And both the applicant's attorney and our attorney agree that they're paying, that this is an applicant's burden.
So I think.
I'm with you on that, Gene. I hear you.
I
I
think
had the same
I
question.
think we're okay with keeping the one escrow account. We'll have a better sense tomorrow in terms of what we think the threshold should be, in terms of at what point it gets to a certain level that, that they have to replenish it. And so why don't we, I don't think we need the two accounts, and I can talk to Stacy a little bit more, and we can next week put this on in terms of establishing the thresholds after we talk to Joe a little bit more tomorrow. So that's okay? We'll move forward? Okay, good. So what we have next, the computer server we tabled. So all we really actually have now is the minutes and the prepays. So,
will be-
oh, no, I'm sorry, we have Memorial Pool kids. We have more kids to approve. So why don't we do that first? We have more lifeguards. I think this should be the last batch. And it always happens in a couple of phases, Dan. They hire some kids, then they get more, then we hire, then we get more.
I make a motion, we accept the list provided to us by Bill Russell for Moriello Pool 2015 at rate, 2014 at the rates of pay published.
Do I have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion so carried. Do you want to look and see how many of these kids you know, Dan?
I know about half of them.
You know half of them? Let's see if I know any of them.
And this usually is the last one. This is the one that has the potential fill-in guards that are only called if they're needed.
Rosanna, you got this, right? Give this to Rose. Anna? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
We had somebody make the motion in a second, right?
Yes.
Yeah, we're
Okay,
good.
all in favor?
We're
Okay,
fine.
do you want to apply for a job here?
I'm fine, thank
You
you.
fine?
You
Got
did
enough to do?
You did add one, you added fireworks contract.
Well, yeah, well, I did that because that was personnel
Okay.
before I got to,
Okay.
so why don't we want to do the minutes first, and, or you want to just do the prepay? Can I have a motion to authorize us to, the town of New Paltz, to pay the fairground deposit of $750 for the fireworks?
So moved.
Do you have a second?
Where are we taking this money
All in
from?
favor? We have a fireworks line.
Okay.
Okay, motion so carried. Okay, and, okay, minutes. Is everybody ready for the minutes? Okay, so I do not know, let me think. Okay. You and Dan and Jean were absent from the 28th, so I don't think we can pass that tonight.
I'm sorry, what? Who was absent?
You guys were both not here for the 28th.
They actually can
Can
go
they?
to, they can, it's a choice to recuse.
No, it was an afternoon meeting where it was just where we authorized to pay our grants writer, to pay for the scanner for the court, and to approve the
Why-
regatta.
Why don't you just wait till next week when Kevin's here?
But, well, I'm asking, but Jeff is, I'm saying that we could, but
I believe,
it's not
Dan,
that,
Dan, we can't, it's your choice to recuse for not being here, is it not?
but there's nothing in there that's really worth recusing yourself from. Are you willing to vote on it?
I don't have an issue. really,
Okay, so do I have a motion to accept,
So moved.
I'll second it because I was here, all in favor?
Aye.
Abstain.
Motion so carried. Okay, April 17th. Did everybody read the April 17th? That was when we did the REPCO and we appointed Dan to our energy liaison.
We
did
didn't
the-
do that?
We didn't-
Oh, wait, I'm sorry, oh, that one, actually, the April 17th isn't marked draft, so is that one done?
17th is done. You have
Okay,
to do
29th.
the 24th, the 29th.
The 24th is a joint.
Right.
You
But
want-
apparently, you can,
We're doing-
each board can do it separately.
Oh, are you saying that because the village already did it?
I don't know if they did that one, but
Because
they
we
did.
generally do
No, we started-
joint minutes.
I know
But
that.
we stopped doing that. They,
Really?
Yeah, they started approving theirs at their meetings and, well, we don't have to.
Well, that's also the case with January 22nd and February 12th. They approved them a couple months ago, and I didn't know. So that's why now I'm asking the town board to do them. Because the board already did them.
Ah, okay, so if we were to make changes, then their adopted ones
So we
would
have to ask them to change.
I'm just making
I
a
agree
point,
with
you
you.
know what I
I
mean?
know with you. We used to always do it together. They started doing it separately, and so,
Ah.
So can we bring that up at our next joint meeting?
Sure.
And just ask?
but there's
Okay,
still, yeah, and just say that we should be
Yeah.
approving them together.
Mhm.
But right now, there are two that are outstanding. So let's finish the town ones first, and then we'll go to the village ones. So we have April
Oh,
29th.
I have to get out of here.
So April 29th was, I can't believe this, Jim, we give you paper all the time. Now all of a sudden you're looking on.
Do you see, I read my package, but I left it, I was late.
Okay, but I'm just impressed
work.
that you're actually doing it online.
But it's very tiny.
Here's the-
Ira, back me up.
Gee,
It's
look-
tiny.
Look at mine.
I didn't think it'd be necessary.
Oh, I remember
That was a
this.
special meeting, I think.
Yep, on the parking stuff.
Oh, yes. How could I forget?
So it really is basically just everybody's opinions. There's no really action.
There was.
Nope, there was definitely no action.
There was,
Contrary to belief of a large number of people who were there.
there was an action.
I don't know.
What, that we held the meeting?
You know what?
Okay.
I
Do I have a motion to approve the minutes of the
I'll
29th?
move it.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Do I have any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion so carried. Okay, March 27th, that was a joint town village meeting.
But you did the 27th.
We do, because I have, it says draft. We did March 27th?
And I have the 27th in here. Are you sure? You want to double check?
Well, I guess you can do them anyway. I thought we did them already.
You think so? I mean, I have it here as draft.
We just did one.
Okay.
I really
This was
think
on
we
the
did that.
annexation. Right?
To open the joint public meeting, yep. This was the joint public meeting on the annexation, and then it was also on the Henry Du Bois Bike Path, when we approved going for the grant. And then there was also a discussion on consolidation in the fire district and inviting them down. There was a conversation about Wilmerite annexation with the village board. There was parades, sports contracts.
You already did the 27th.
We did.
You did them on April 24th.
Okay.
You made a couple of small changes, but otherwise you did them.
What about April 24th?
Those were the joint ones.
We need to do April
Yes.
24th?
Yes.
Okay. April 24th was when we opened it up with talking about the arrest, with the homicide, the arrest and the homicide, where we read the press release. We had the Riverkeeper presentation, we had the update on the DEP water, we had the local emergency planning update, we had the joint resolution on emergency services, we did the Moriello pool maintenance and capital improvement conversation, and favorite conversation.
Thank you for putting the list in there too, by the way.
And we,
Nice touch.
It was, because I stapled that list just so you know the several vouchers.
Very nice.
we did the Rescue Squad,
I knew you would approve of that, Gene.
we did the Rescue Squad contract.
I'll move the minutes.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion so carried. And I think that's it, Rosanna, is that all our minutes?
We need
January 22nd.
and February 12th.
Okay, January 22nd. Now, the ones I have though aren't marked draft.
Because those
They-
were not mine.
Okay,
Those were,
so that meeting,
These are Katie's.
let me find out the point, that was a meeting that started on Park Point and somebody had a sign. And the whole beginning was whether or not we were gonna let them keep the sign up or not. Remember that at Village Hall?
I do remember it.
Okay, that was that meeting. So our joint portion was a discussion on parades and park use, and we tabled it that night.
Master
And
plan discussion, if I recall.
we talked parades, and then the town board ended the joint participation of the village board meeting. So we just did parades and nothing else. Do I have a motion to accept as, do
So moved.
I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion so
Abstain.
carried.
I was absent.
Yes, you are. Okay, and then 214, Rosanna?
212.
214, I'm sorry. Okay, that meeting,
After that meeting.
they started about the annexation. The village did a 2% override of their cap.
Almost as.
We added Park Point, so it was, we talked about capital expenses, the
Again.
Moriello pool, if we don't talk about it enough. We,
But we don't have to now.
That'd be funny.
You're so good
Yes.
to us.
we did the parades in the park, we did the Moriello pool, and we discussed Park Point.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion so carried. And
that's it.
that's it.
I was like, I got my minutes, I'm done.
Okay,
I'm out of here.
okay, so we got all the minutes done?
And just
What's the date
because,
with all the minutes too, Rosanna, right? What's the
Right
date with
now,
that?
now we're all.
See, that's why.
you know, and
See?
actually, just the two pieces, as long as we're still on it, and we mentioned them, and we went over committee liaison reports, which is fine. One
We can go back.
is, I'll just go back real briefly. One is as an update to any veterans out there. We did get accepted from the county for the veterans exemption without having to file a new local law or create a local law. They at first had said they were going to deny our request. Lori, our assessor, went up and pleaded our case, and they not only did they accept her plea, they're now going to use her discussion she had with them as the case for all communities that want to have this exemption for their veterans. So she put a lot of work into it, and now Pete Svego is the one who brought it forward to us, and I'm sure he's been updated on it, but if not, it is now all the veterans in our community will be getting it. The other one is Moriello Pool. While we are on it, our goal is to open, and I say I'm looking at Chris Marks, on the 24th. of this month, we hope to open Moriello Pool. It is being watered as we speak, and as the water level continues to rise, once we get it up to a sustainable level, we will be able to fire up the brand-new pumps with our fingers crossed, but everything should be, Chris is nodding, it looks good. So the water should be a balmy 84 degrees, 85 degrees, Chris? Oh, absolutely.
But Chris has been out there, Chris has been out there consistently every day.
Chris has been out there
checking-
consistently,
making
and
sure that this gets open.
I'm going to be going with Chris after this meeting. We're going to see what level it's at, and I will dare Chris to jump in. I'll see how that goes, but we'll see. Yeah, you better bring that here. But hopefully, again, the goal is the 24th, and what we will do is I will pass the information and the responsibility over to Dan, since he's our webmaster for Facebook. And so check our our Town of New Paltz Facebook page, and Dan Torres will update it as soon as he has information. That's my dog.
Is that your dog?
That's my dog.
Should we show everybody Jeff's dog?
Okay,
It's
yes.
adorable. Very cute.
Thank you very
cute.
much, yeah.
Very
that's,
cute.
So anyway, if anyone could check our Facebook page, and also, Dan, I will forward you all of the rates and lesson rates and schedules also for you, if you could put those also
Yeah,
onto the
absolutely.
Facebook. And again, if everything goes well, we do hope to be open that 24th, 25th, 26th, which is the 26th is Memorial Day, for those of you not knowing.
Does anybody want to do any quick updates on the committees? Anybody have anything to report about their committees? I mean, the Bike Ped Committee had a ribbon cutting on Monday at 5:30 because we have the only enclosed bike rack on the thruway.
The parking lot.
Entire state through.
On the entire state thruway. New Paltz has the only enclosed bike rack.
Because we're so excited.
And I will point out too, that not only do we have the only one that has that, but when we talk about recycling and everything, it is a repurposed bike rack. It was a bus shelter. That was very neat. So instead of dumping the old one, they repurposed it as a bike rack.
And I
Because
think
we're
even
zero waste.
and I
That's
think
why we have we have chairs that we use. We have, everything we have is used. I'm actually used. I'm recycled.
I think what's even more exciting,
Recycled back here.
since I need to go by there, and I frequently go by on my bike to go to work, especially now that it's light earlier, it's actually already being used. And so I would guess it's being used by people that are hopping the bus,
Yeah,
the
well,
Trailways
the
bus,
whole-
probably down to the city.
Yeah.
I rode by the other day, and there were 3 bikes in it, so it's already in use, so thanks for being there for the ribbon
Yes.
cutting, too.
Dan and I
Thanks
were
to
there.
the Bike Ped Committee and Bill Weinstein specifically too, who really pushed that issue. Yeah.
He's very motivated.
He is very
And then there's also, there's going to be a public charrette. I forgot, I should have gotten the date. I think it's very early June, but we'll announce it next week. A public charrette meeting for the bike path that we're looking to do across from the Waco Farm, where there's going to be a presentation of what some of the options are, and we gave the power to the Bike Ped Committee to run that public meeting, since they're the experts, not us, and it's better for them to get the feedback.
And then you have a committee report as well to the subcommittee that Jeff and I are on, that we're going to hopefully very soon announce 5, I guess they'll call them public workshop dates to talk about the joint master plan between the town and the village. And we were hoping to get those dates today. That did
Yeah.
not work out, unfortunately.
Was today supposed to be a walkthrough for the comprehensive?
It was supposed to be, yes. But that did not take place. But we are hoping to get those dates soon and then be able to publicize them and let the public know. And what I will say too, because I think it's important, when we discussed it preliminary at our meeting, although we haven't set the dates, we made it very clear that we wanted to do it very differently. We didn't want to just do it at like a town hall location, but around the community and at various times, including during the day as well, because there are people in our community where that's the best time for them to go out. So look forward to that.
Laura, did you want to, since you're here, did you want to talk to us about anything, or answer any questions, or
Talk about
just, talk about what's going on? You can go
rogue.
home.
You want to talk about rogue coupons around the internet?
Are you okay? I just wanted to give you the opportunity to say something. Okay, so we have to do the warrant, and then I think, Jeff, do you want to talk
I
about the
am
police
going-
contract too? Are you going to ask to go into executive session? for
I
the police
just need to go, I would like to request that we go into
Let's do it.
executive session, but we can do it after, because we're not
So
going
why
to have
don't
any
we do-
decision yet.
Yeah, so why don't we just quickly do the warrant? Jeff and Kevin, you did it?
Yep.
So if you wanna move it, I'll second it, because I approve everything anyway, so.
I might have my headphones on.
I'll do a final sign.
Do you have your complete one there?
Yeah, right here.
Oh, I got it right here. No, I got it. And-
It's just coming.
This would be Mark.
This would be.
Gene, you'll be happy to know that there were some modifications made because of the agreement for the pool. So we moved some of the A Moriello pool over to B side. So if you look at it, you see them on B side. It's because 50% of it is being billed to the village, because these are items that they agreed to. So if you do see different ones on capital improvement B side, that's what they're there for. Did you look through them at all, Gene, or do you have any
No, I
questions?
didn't have a warrant on Tuesday.
I didn't know if you ever.
She didn't get
I didn't know
to-
if you were like me and you get bored and you come in and still look at them though.
No, she didn't have it ready
Right.
until, yesterday,
Oh.
because
I was
Linda.
late, I was at work.
She did not have it ready until yesterday because Linda Hannigan was here working with her on the beginning of the week. So they put it together yesterday. And they were here late.
Okay, so I'd like to make a motion to pay for our supervisor to sign the warrant for May of 2014 in the amount of $428,071.70.
And I'll second it. So all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion so carried. Can we have a motion to go into executive session for the purposes of talking about police contract negotiations?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion so carried.
I think you can go home. We're not going to make any decisions in that, so good night.
It's good.
Was this?
9:30.
Yeah, so let's go.
stole it.
Because I'm not home yet.
I didn't stall it, I was just asking
So,
if anybody
Dean,
wanted to talk
if
about the
you want
committee
this-
report, since technically